Hey YouTube, what's up? It's Rob. Hello Norath, and hello to all of my EQ brethren. There's not a ton of us, but if you play EQ still to this day, you're part of an old school crew that is pretty cool, I think. So um, I'm certainly happy to be a part of it anyway. I like still playing EQ. I don't play all the time. I play when the new expansions come out usually. Kind of max it out and then put it aside till next year. But to each his own. So welcome to my uh, Mage's Secrets Revealed, if you will, tutorial video where I'm going to reveal some of my own personal little tips and tricks. You guys may have your own. You guys may have come up with these on your own already. But you may not have. So for those of you who are maybe just trying out Mage, you got a heroic Mage and you're looking for some shortcuts to getting to the point where you can start dealing some pretty solid DPS, or just kind of just running through the regular old mage thing, being a regular old average mage even. Still takes a little bit of setup and work. So I'm going to show you my tips and tricks. And I want to start out by saying that the main goal that I set up all of this for is my own convenience. Like I set up all of these hotkeys I'm going to be showing you are made so that I can maximize not having to do anything. I want to basically be playing the game with as little actual micromanagement as possible. So that's what my overall goal is. So it's just make things as easy for me as humanly possible. Because for me, if you're like me and things become tedious or monotonous, you're not going to want to do it. So, and that's how I was for a long time. But with some clever macros, you can have the best of both worlds, I think. Okay, so case in point is these nuke clickies, and we'll get to that in a second. So just a quick overview of what we're going to be going over, so you can stick around for the parts that you want to hear and skip away from the parts you don't give a crap about. What we're going to be going over is create nuke clicky hotkeys and put them in your bags automatically. The next section will be showing you how to reclaim pets for infinite mana and mana recovery after a res. And the third section will be showing you how to use a gamepad. And gamepad mode, I'm going to use Mage as the example here. It works on any class. It works pretty well just on every class that I've tried so far. Some are better than others, but I would say everybody's could probably get some kind of use out of it in certain situations. So that's basically what I want to show you guys, and make sure you read the description for links to the files that you need and the software you need to make all this work correctly. It's pretty easy. Just JoyToKey. It's an amazing program. You probably already have it. If you don't, you're using something else like XPatter, delete it, auto delete that, and start using JoyToKey because it's the best thing ever. So anyway, moving on. So section 1, make using these nuke clicky items, making them, using them. What are they? Okay, so mages, if you're not using these things, you really are missing out. They're instant cast, if you take a look here. So it's instant cast, almost 28k nuke. And this goes in between whatever nuke cycle you have up. So there's no reason not to be using this. This thing's amazing. The only thing that's problematic about it runs out of charges. You got to make another one. It becomes a hassle. It does take up spell gems, but it's definitely worth it because this is an important nuke. This is a lot of DPS coming out of that. That's significant value. Same goes for the Icebound Paradox one. The other nuke clicky, the other in-between clickies, like these, all this stuff here is happening when your global cooldowns are on. So you got Force of Elements, you've got your 2 nuke clickies, and then Companions Aegis. That's four solid good ones that you should be constantly trying to keep on cooldown. You don't need to do 5 or 6 with the exigent pets and all that. I don't think that's usually worthwhile. Those four, you keep those 4 on cooldown, you're doing pretty good. Then you've got your 4 nuke cycle here. This is pretty well established. You can see other posts, other people establishing this as your pretty much standard go-to nuke cycle, which is RS pet, chaotic, spear, spear. I've experimented with a few other ones, but this is pretty much overall the best one. So yeah, that's a nuke cycle I'm running. But thing about it is these these new clickies, they run out. So what do I do? So let's see, in the middle of the fight, let's find these things. Okay, just delete these out of there. Where's my other one at? Probably. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I'll show you these hotkeys in action. So I'm mid-fight. I've run out of things. I have my Archon thing targeted, and I've run out of my ice. Okay, so I just click one button. It puts it in my bag. If I was fighting a mob and I had my pet on the mob, it would assist my pet and retarget it for me. So I literally have to click nothing, just the one button, and it puts me back right where I was before I clicked it. Good to go, ready. Same goes for the fire. Click one button, it puts it in my inventory, right back ready to spam. So no hands other than clicking one button, which is basically just to reload. Basically, you can think of this as kind of like ammo for whatever, and you just have to reload occasionally. So this is like reload fire, reload ice. Boom, easy. And so here's the one. You can pause it here. Hang on a second. Get all that out of the way. So yeah, you can pause this. That's the create fire, reload fire, whatever you want to call it. You can pause it and copy that. Now you may need to adjust these numbers. This is a public service announcement. Your numbers may I can't guarantee you that these exact numbers will work for you. This is just what works for me. If it's not working, then tweak the pause numbers is what I'm referring to. The cast gems is going to be whatever you have, so whatever you've assigned, wherever you've got that stored, just use your number there. But this pause number is just pretty close. Start going up in small increments up and down from that if something's not working. I can't guarantee it, but that should get you pretty close. Most people I've shown this, it works for them the way I'm showing you now. And then here's the create ice. So it just targets me, casts the spell, puts it in the inventory, and then assists the pet. Now your pet you have to put your pet name here. So adjust for that. And if you don't have a permanent pet name, like you haven't bought that or whatever, then you just have to manually every time put in whatever pet name it gives you randomly. But seriously, how can you not have a pet name? That's pretty cold-blooded. Get your pet a name, and that pet's going to help you out. I don't care what class you're playing. That pet is your friend, so deserves a name. Oh, excuse me, had a good drink. All right, so that's the two fire and ice ones, and those are really handy for you to, basically keep this stuff recharged without having to mess with it. So now let's do some other ones. So I'll show you this in action. This next part will be a twofold. One is I'm going to play this with my gamepad only. So pull him here, stick my pet on him. I'll tash him real quick. I have the tash stick. If you don't have that as a mage, I highly recommend you get one. It's great clicky. I cast it on every mob pretty much. This is a point now where I'll be checking to make sure my my nuke clickies are repopulated. But you can see I'm going to start. If you watch the cooldowns, okay, watch these here, and then watch. You can watch my nuke cycle go. So I'm just holding one button. I'm holding down the X button here, and I'm occasionally hitting, while holding it, just kind of rocking my thumb over and also hitting the circle to hit those nuke clickies. So X and O, basically 1 to 2 buttons at any given time, and one button you're just holding the whole time. So it's not really like you've been pressing it. But you see I can just melt this mob down here. No problem. Takes a lot of mana. If you have better gear, it'll take you less mana. So you have to recharge fewer times. But this is what I'm really doing here is I'm showing you the gamepad, me playing with the gamepad in action, but also what I'm doing is I want to show you for my, I got to set this up, I got to drain some mana down to show you for my next macro section. I want to show you how fast it gains back mana. Usually around, I end up around like 60% with these, or I should say like 55% usually, when it's all said and done with these. Got one. Okay. Anywho, moving along. I got distracted there for a second. But okay, so killing this thing, so yeah, about 55, 56%. So I'm going to hit one button here, and this will just demonstrate this for you. I hit one button, I'm not doing anything else here. In fact, at this point, I can be typing to group, hey guys, good job on the kill, whatever, you know. So all this other stuff is happening, you know, hands-free, completely hands-free. So I've gained a total of, so I'm up to 95. So I gained 40% mana there from just clicking one hotkey, essentially. And this is that hotkey that I just hit. Oh, and then when it's all over, you want to, like, if you're being kind of sharp, you're going to bring out your pad again. But here's the hotkey I just used for that. So you can start there. Cast 9. 9 is equivalent to wherever you've got saved your monster summoning. 11 and cast 11 equivalent to wherever you've got your reclaim energy. And the rest you can copy. And then adjust the pause numbers if you have to. Those should probably work for you. So what is it doing? Okay, it's suspending pet. Eats one pet, or cast monster summoning, reclaims it. That eats one. Cast monster summoning again, reclaims it. That eats two. So that's like eat two pets. Another, and then the other side of it that I use is eat two pets. Same thing. You can copy this. Same thing is eats two and then brings the pet back out. So if you think about it, those two together, basically it puts your pet away, eats 4 pets, and then brings your pet back out. So you can copy that down. So that will take you from 0 mana to full mana. And it takes about 25-30 seconds at most. Basically, but if you think about that, that's like what it takes to get to, you know, out of combat, regen time. You can basically go from 0 mana to full mana in about 30 seconds, give or take. I mean, somebody can time it, I guess. But anyway, so that's those two. Now, the other ones are just kind of like modifications of that. This is eat one and pop. So this one will put the pet away, eat, and then bring the pet back out, all hands-free. That's nice if you just want one quick one, like you're at about 75% or so, and you just want a quick one and put it away, you can just, you know, hit the one key, and that's totally hands-free. Because you don't have to manually resummon your pet afterward, and that one's built in. And the other one I have what I call repeat eat, which is just the raw cast out the monster summoning and then eat it. So this is just like, I'll manually deal with my pet later. I just want to eat one pet basically, and not have to deal with the clicking of it or the alt or whatever, however you normally cast spells. Just click one button, done. Couldn't be any easier. So that's those, which I think is pretty cool. Hey, here's my friend Junie. He's cool. I group with him here sometimes. In any case, so that's that portion of it. Those are like all the reclaim ones that I use. Another one that I like is this one here. This will, oh, hold on a second. This is actually not the one I wanted to show you, but all right. Forget that one. But this one is just like what I have for my pets. And this works nice with these hotkeys I have here, which are, if you use the mem spell set and then your spell set name, this is how you can easily switch between different spell sets. So Okay, so yeah, so I would highly recommend you do this and have at least, you know, at least one where you can easily get your pet up and running. So from it, when my pet, my battle recovery spell set is loaded, that's when this um, buff will work, and you just have to fill these gems in with whatever you want. But those numbers should work if you follow the order that I'm showing you here, and you can pause to you know, I guess watch that happen. I don't know if this helps you guys. And you guys may have your own ways. You may not need some of these, but I'm lazy, like I said, so a lot of these things are just to make my life easier. I don't like to click all the damn buffs. I got enough crap to click. Um, and so that's what this one does. This one here is like, it'll give me my pet weapons, and it'll make my rods for me. I had another one that I lost. I accidentally deleted it, that makes 2 rods and auto inventories them. It's pretty easy to set up. You can probably figure it out from what you've seen so far here. Another one that's really handy is this one here. If you don't have this one yet, this is great. It's very simple, just auto inventory. Okay, so great. Well, what do I need that for? Well, you don't have your inventory up. Let's say you find yourself in a situation where you got some crap on your controller and you just want to get this damn thing off your controller but not have to mess with your inventory. You just dump it there. It's like your universal trash can. It'll just, you know, anything you get stuck on your controller, you don't have time to mess with, you can just dump it there. Works, you know, sometimes you get these things stuck in your hands or whatever because your inventory is full to create things. So same idea, just if you get one of those clicky stuck in your hand, quick dump it into there. Don't have to think about it while you're fighting a mob. You don't want to interrupt your DPS to manage inventory and stuff like that. So that's a really handy one. Highly recommend you guys use that. As you can see, my stuff is really disorganized, but because I play on a gamepad, it doesn't matter because I organize it on my gamepad, so that that's what brings it all together for me. And if you're more interested in seeing my keypad bindings, stick around because I'll just go over it real quick here, and you can download the profiles for Joy to Key from my download description to get you guys started. You can customize that stuff to taste if you want. But this is just what I'm using. So left stick is left, right, forward and back, left, right, strafe. Right stick is mouse look around, but right trigger is mouse right click. So if you're familiar with EQ, obviously you're watching this video, you are going to be, you know, if you have to hit right, hold down the right mouse button to enable mouse look. So it's the same function's been enabled here on the joystick. It's just hold on one second. It's just the right trigger is equivalent to the, you know, holding the right button. Yeah, I spawn names around here all the time. I just wish people would come and kill them so I could go back to my, I have a nice, like, 6 to 7 mob cycle that I run when I'm soloing here. Although the numbers are on the 6 to 5 when I get these damn greens spawned. I hate the greens. Tons of annoying parts about them. So anyway, so yeah, that's a good chunk of the, or that's all the movement. But if you set it up like that, I think you'll find a very smooth control. And the only thing that I did to sort of adjust it was I have 6% X and only 3% on Y on the mouse sensitivity. That makes it, you know, like, so I can look left and right quick, but up and down, it gives me kind of a dampener effect because I don't want to be looking all up and down usually. Usually my turns are going to be, you know, 90% of the time is going to be laterally, so that's why I set that up. So that's how I set that up. And then the other big thing is you guys can figure out the best way to do this. If you're not playing a mage, is to just identify your high frequency tasks and then try and figure out how you can accomplish those tasks by hitting as few buttons as possible. So you bind it, like for example, you know, you bind, or even little things like this, like changing spell sets is a pretty high frequency task. for a lot of classes. So make up these hotkeys for them. And once you have these hotkeys made up, you have the option of binding those hotkeys to your joypad. So that's how you can customize this for other classes. But for Mage specifically, I'll show you a lot of the most important high frequency tasks. So high frequency task 1 is run through your nuke cycle. So I have this bound to my X button. So my X button will cast this, 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 and this. And it will just cycle through, prioritizing top to bottom. The way you do that is to set up, you put those 4 spells in order, and then it doesn't matter where they are on your bar, but just make sure they're in that order and no gaps in between. And then you assign this whatever block, you assign those 4 block to the same key, and then you assign E, and that'll work fine. And then you assign E to be the X button in Joy key. So you see how it use whatever key, substitute however you want, but that's how you set it up. So basically, if you do that, you turn your X button into the button that will cycle through my nuke chain as best as humanly possible. And you set that key to auto repeat as well. So you just have to hold it down and it'll like auto repeat once every 0.1 seconds or whatever. And it's just like spamming E essentially. Which will spam all your nukes. And then so you get the idea. Then O I have set to, if you copy my EQ profile, you'll see it's set to go through, it'll hit this one, this one, this one, and this one. It'll go 5, 6, 7, 8. And it doesn't work exactly like that in practice. Usually it wants to do this one and this one. It usually goes 6, 5, and then it'll do this one, and then for whatever reasons, the Icebound Paradox, no matter where I put these things, Icebound Paradox is always last. But it's fine. It gives you a way to spam them all with only hitting one key. So that'll work. Yeah, so that's circle. So basically 2 keys. So I can play with if I only had those, the 2 sticks and those 2 buttons, I could get a lot of stuff done. I could play my character almost, like 85% with just that, with just hitting 2 keys now. And it's all bound right into, comfortable gamepad, which I can kick back and play with. That's pretty handy. The other big ones I have is square is pet attack, and oh, the main thing I want to tell you is skipped over, which I wish I would have said at the beginning, is that other than the movement, oh look, I just spawned the named. Great. Other than the movement around, the other big thing that I do is use the left trigger as shift, and that's like your mod key. So you have all the buttons that you have, but if you leave the left trigger as your so-called kind of a blank mod key that all it does is mod the other buttons, you double all the rest. So, for example, if I hold the left trigger and I hit my X button, which X button is normally my nuke cycle, I hold the mod and then hit X button, it hits that create fire hotkey, and it essentially makes the fire one and then puts it in my inventory. And then hold the mod key and hit circle, and it does the same thing for my ice. So that, like, you can put whatever you want on these things, but I make it real easy for myself to keep all my spells up and running. Very simple. That's pretty much the main things I'm doing during battle is just nuking, spamming my clickies, and then if I'm not doing that, I'm probably just making clickies. That's the only other thing I'd be doing. I'm not getting mana. I'm not doing much of anything else because I'm using my eat pet hotkeys to do that in between or whatever. So that's mainly it. So the idea of using the left trigger as shift, I use shift, you can use alt or whatever and start mapping the keys as you see fit. You can look at mine as a template and then adjust it to however you want it. But just use mine as a template and see how it goes. So hopefully that works out good for you guys. The other as Mage, let's see, what's the other ones I want? I have triangle set to Mala, and then shift triangle set to my Tash stick, which is optional if you don't have that. Let's see. I've got L button is my kind of like pet defensive stuff. It'll cast my 2 runes. And then Shift L will heal, and it will also cast my Fortify. So it's kind of like L, and then Mod L is all pet heals and pet defensive stuff for when I get ads or whatever I'm tanking, a name to something like that. And oh yeah, R button is pet relocation because you want to be casting your swarm pets at the mob's back. So once you start tanking a pet, you want to hit like companion's relocation, and it'll push them whatever direction you're facing, basically away from you, and then you can start casting your RS pets at the thing's back. So that's that. It also will, I have that also bound into my rogue clicky, which will give the pet a nice DPS proc. So you want to try and keep that on cooldown. So I put it with something I'm casting all the time, so I keep it on cooldown. You can put that wherever you want, I guess, but I just put it there so I don't forget, because I'm prone to forget. It's kind of has a long cooldown, so I end up forgetting if I don't put it on something like that. So that's pretty much the main ones. I have on my POV buttons for up, this is main. Up is cycle through NPC targets, so that's how I get my targets. That's important. Down is the same thing, but it's for PCs. So if you're in a group and you need to target someone, so up is NPCs, down is like cycle through PCs that are around you. My left and right on the POV hat are bound to these. I have them bound to my reclaim pet things, and then the shift left and shift right are the other two. So that's where all those are bound. My shift up is cast my invis, and my shift down. What is shift down? I don't have a shift down yet. No. I'm not super sure. I don't know. I don't know what I have for shift down yet. That may be open yet. Anyways, so you guys can adapt and download my profile and use it as you see fit, or don't use it if you don't want to. You just want the macros. You've got all those. So I hope you guys like it. Oh, let's not accidentally aggro the named. I got 2 names up now. So I'm going to log off now and deal with that. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Leave comments. If you have your own hotkeys you want to share, please leave those in. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for watching. Later.